So when it comes to inspiration, I think that you should stay away from your industry. I know that's counterintuitive because a lot of people I know love to look on Pinterest and other designers and Behance and all these kind of things to get inspiration. But my biggest fear of doing that is, am I subconsciously just copying a look because I like it? If you keep doing that, and this is the mistake so many people make, they look within Dribbble, Behance, Pinterest, and within their own industry, and effectively their work just becomes a derivative of that. And really, if we're doing good work, we're solving problems. And I found that if you look outside your industry and take a lateral step and look sideways, the same problems are there. It's just really fascinating to see how other people have solved them. And often by taking inspiration from sources that people aren't so familiar with, your work is feeling much fresher, much more interesting. So, for example, if I like to get better at my color palettes, I would talk to photographers and interior designers and fashion designers because they work with color all the time. They understand how to use color to express emotion and style and tone in a way that if I go to Dribbble and look at color palettes from other designers, they're very digital in their color. Or if you talk to an artist who, is obsessed with color and, works with color every day, they have a deeper understanding and they can actually teach you. I'd also start painting because when you mix colors together, you understand what's happening. But that's the thing. I don't stay in graphic design and branding. I look outside. I look at, food programs. I look at sports. I look at movies. All of these things, you will see overlaps. You'll see how other people are dealing with the same problems you are, just in a different way. And being able to bring that back into your work, it's always going to make it feel different and fresh. And the most simplest way of doing this and the most effective, which I genuinely love, is to look at the project you're doing and take that project, but make it in a different industry. So if you're packaging water, pretend like you're packaging a high-end perfume, and all the aesthetics and qualities that would go into making high-end perfume, bring that back into the water industry, and you'll see what happens. All of a sudden, your designs will feel so much more sophisticated and sleek and elegant and stylish and expensive than if you'd stayed looking at other water brands. And this is the thing, you just got to take inspiration from another industry or another person and bring that in, and that'll feel fresh because it feels different. And you can always see this in new brands that when they break into markets, visually they're very different, or they feel different in how they communicate. And that's because someone has looked outside the industry to bring in something which feels very different. And like I said, because I've done football coaching and DJing, and I've run hotels and restaurants and all these things, all of that just gives me more things to draw upon, and I'm aware of more people. And like I said, the value is simply finding someone that nobody else is aware of, or who very few people are aware of, and drawing from that person and bring it back into what you're doing. You immediately lift it and make it feel fresh, as opposed to just looking in your own echo chamber of the same old designers doing the same old things. It's really destructive. So like I said, if you want inspiration, talk to people outside your industry. And I hate personally like business podcasts and stuff, because it just makes me feel guilty for not doing enough work or working on my own stuff. And it's like, I live this industry anyway. I don't need more. It's far more interesting to listen to Joe Rogan or The Dollop or something else. And what you find is, because you're much more open to it and you're listening to people being interviewed you didn't know about, those experiences and those stories and those memories will stay with you. And then you're able to bring them into what you do, and they're going to elevate things. And if you want a good example of this, how many movies or books have you seen at the beginning when it says based on a true story? The reality is that something like 1917, the guy who directed that and wrote it, it was a story that his grandfather told him. Now, he wasn't looking for inspiration on how to write a war movie by watching war movies. He was listening to stories of people around him, and one was so good that he wanted to make a war movie after hearing the story. And that's how I believe it works. If you meet interesting people, have interesting discussions, it will spark your brain into lots of other things you could do that you can bring back into your work. And that's how you stay inspired. And it's an endless reservoir to tap in, as opposed to the same Pinterest, Instagram scroll that everyone else is looking into.